Part 29. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 281. Now, Gui Weivong's words just touched his sore spot. Originally, Gui Weivong meant that they were here to find Apostle Peter, and he was not qualified at all. But in Dai Jianfeng's ears, it became a satire on him that he was still a deputy position and wanted to climb up but couldn't. Dai Jianfeng was angry and embarrassed. In addition, he felt that he was on his own territory and there was no need to be afraid of Wang Feng and others. He stepped forward and said sinisterly, "This is not your hope base. Whether I am qualified or not is not up to you. Since the car has been delivered, you can get out. Our base does not welcome you." You idiot. Can you represent your base? Lu Feng couldn't help but curse. Has this kind of person's brain been squeezed by a door? He offered himself to be beaten, and he would not be happy if he was not beaten. Dai Jianfeng is not stupid. Although he looks stupid, he is actually very smart. He deliberately treats Wang Feng and his friends as people who are here to send cars to make amends. He wants to provoke the anger of Wang Feng and his friends and then provoke them to take action. Therefore, he clearly knows that Wang Feng and his friends are not sending cars to them, but he pretends to misunderstand and uses words to provoke Wang Feng and his friends. Now he is basically successful, because his condescending look makes Lu Feng unable to help but scold him. This is in the military camp. No matter who is right or wrong, Wang Feng and his friends are outsiders. Now that his own people are scolded, it will definitely be a disgrace to the entire military camp. No matter how big your reasons are, it is wrong to go to someone's house and scold them, especially here is still a military camp. In the military camp, almost every military commander of a unit will have a characteristic, that is, to protect his own people. If my soldiers make mistakes, I can scold, beat, and punish them, but others can't. If you want to move my soldiers, you must go through me and I will handle it. If you do it directly, it means you don't give me face and you want to fight me. Therefore, when there is a problem between the troops, the military commanders of both sides usually meet first, solve the problem, and then go back to deal with their own soldiers. Now Wang Feng and his men came here and pointed at Dai Jianfeng's nose and scolded him, which happened to be a taboo in the military camp. Not to mention that Dai Jianfeng is still a general, even if he is an ordinary soldier, he will not be accepted by these soldiers. Wang Feng and Gui Weivong have served in the army and know this truth. Therefore, although Gui Weivong was mocking Dai Jianfeng just now, he did not open his mouth to insult him. But Lu Feng didn't know. He had never been a soldier, how could he know these unspoken rules? When Wang Feng wanted to stop him, it was too late. Many soldiers who came to get food heard what Lu Feng said and immediately surrounded him. Dai Jianfeng sneered and looked at Lu Feng and said, "Come down. Take back what you just said and apologize to me." Wang Feng reached out to stop Gui Weivong who wanted to grab Lu Feng and shook his head. Since he had already scolded him, he could scold him. Wang Feng also saw that Dai Jianfeng was deliberately trying to provoke them. Anyway, the instructor said before coming that if there were those who didn't know what was good for them, they would just take action and kill a few of them. Wang Feng pulled Gui Weivong over and stood behind Lu Feng to watch the fun. Their behavior also made Dai Jianfeng feel that something was wrong, but now he had already started, and it was difficult to get off the tiger. With so many people watching, if he was scared first, he would really have no way to get by in the future. Not to mention climbing up, he couldn't even keep his current position. The military camp is for iron-blooded men, and softies have always been looked down upon. So no matter what situation Dai Jianfeng encounters now, as long as he wants to stay in this military camp, he must continue to play this drama. Seeing the soldiers who surrounded him and the anger in the eyes of the two officers following Dai Jianfeng, Lu Feng also felt that something was wrong, but since Wang Feng did not stop him or say anything, but just watched the excitement from behind. Lu Feng didn't care. He was afraid that he would mess up this matter because of himself, but now Wang Feng did not stop him, which means that it is still within the controllable range, so he is naturally not afraid. Apologize, Lu Feng looked at Dai Ji Unfeng coldly. I have never apologized to anyone since I was a child. What I said is like water spilled, how can I take it back? I don't have that habit. I didn't kill you last time and let you go. I didn't expect you to still not learn your lesson and dare to provoke me. The soldiers below heard Lu Feng's words and suddenly made a commotion. They knew Dai Ji Unfeng, and he was one of the evolvers. Although there are more than 100 evolvers in their camp, it is still pitifully small compared to their number. Therefore, in the eyes of these enhancer soldiers, the evolvers are top masters. They didn't expect that they would be defeated. According to Lu Feng's words, they could kill him but didn't. They let him go. Lu Feng was not stupid. He knew what was going on when he saw the expressions of those people. Therefore, he pointed out that Dai Ji Unfeng had fallen into their hands but was released by them. Dai Ji Unfeng's face turned pale when he heard Lu Feng's words. But what Lu Feng said was the truth. He had no way to deny it, because he was not the only one who knew about what happened yesterday. There were also nearly 1,000 soldiers. If he denied it now, he would probably be exposed immediately. Stop talking nonsense. Last time you had more people, this time you are on my territory. No matter how powerful you are, you can't come to my door, right? Dai Ji Unfeng changed his tone and directed the conversation to them, making the soldiers mistakenly think that Wang Feng and his men came to the door to cause trouble. Too many people? Haha. How many people do we need to deal with a trash like you? How about we two come together? Or you can pick one of us and we fight alone in a life or death battle, Lu Feng sneered. Ha 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 ha, Dai Ji Unfeng suddenly burst out laughing. You guys are bullying me, and you still want to use rules to restrict us? Do you want to humiliate me again and walk out of this military camp safely? Stop dreaming. No matter who you are, as long as you dare to step in and walk out intact, I agree. Can you ask my brothers if they agree? Of course Dai Ji Unfeng knew that he was no match for any of Wang Feng and the others, but he couldn't clearly say that Lu Feng and the others were too powerful and he didn't dare, so he quickly changed the subject and said that Wang Feng and the others were just coming to take advantage of the situation. And finally incited the soldiers around him. No. Bullies come to your door? Are you really looking for death? Don't leave once you're here. So stupid. 3 people dare to come to our place to trample on us? Isn't that too crazy? The soldiers below were excited and shouting one by one. When Wang Feng saw the reactions of these soldiers, a smile suddenly appeared on his face, because he remembered that when he was in the army, sometimes when training with his brother troops, this kind of thing often happened, maybe because of a small friction. The 2 troops can fight and have a melee. Because all soldiers are arrogant, just like what their company commander said when they first joined the company, don't be afraid of trouble, and don't be afraid of punishment. If anyone dares to bully you, just fight back without suppressing him. It's okay for a soldier to be angry. If you don't have anger, what the hell are you going to do as a soldier? Go home and embroider as soon as possible. So at that time, they often encountered this situation. They heard their brothers shout, "Can you bear it?" Some guys behind who didn't know what was going on started shouting from behind, "No," and then, the 2 sides rush into a melee, and they often have to wait until the superior military officer arrives to stop the fight. Often this kind of thing goes unsolved in the end, and no one responsible can be found at all, so the company commanders of the 2 companies will become the punching bag, taken to the regiment headquarters, scolded, and then released. But if the battle was won at that time, then the company commander would be very happy after being beaten by a bear. He would always say, "Brothers, good job. If you do this next time, you must beat him 3 times in a row until you don't even know his mother. I will go out of my way to be scolded by the group leader again. If you lose, that would be miserable. Just wait for the cruel training. Unless the entire company is wiped out, they will definitely not be able to stop. Of course, their fights are also measured, and they will not use the knife, but when greeting with fists and kicks, they don't hit the vital points. They are usually slaps in the face. The opponent's face will be bruised and swollen, and the result can be easily seen. In fact, the superiors knew about this situation, so they turned a blind eye and never seriously punished them. For them, it was okay to let these big soldiers relax and just treat it as training. This is why Dai Jianfeng's strategy can be established in the army, because no matter whether it is right or wrong, when the people on your side speak, your own people must give face. The tradition in the army is that when the opponent is also a soldier, you cannot be reasonable. Because you are soldiers, you have to talk about fists. Whoever has the bigger fist will be justified. Soldiers are reasonable because they meet ordinary people. If you mess with soldiers, you are capable and capable. As long as you can defeat the other party, you are a man. If you mess with ordinary people, you will be miserable. Kick out of the army even if there is someone above you. Wang Feng was laughing, and so was Gui Weivong. All the troops in the world were basically the same. Of course, he encountered similar situations. Suddenly, Gui Weivong shouted, "If you want to fight, fight." "What the hell are you shouting?" All the girls are screaming. Gui Weivong's words completely fulfilled Dai Jianfeng's wishes. The lethality of his guerrilla chirping far exceeded those of Dai Jianfeng's words. When the group of soldiers heard these words, they all swarmed towards the hurricane. Then they all jumped on the hurricane and rushed towards the 3 people on the roof of the car. Wang Feng glanced at Gui Weivong helplessly, knowing that this boy's hands were itchy, and he wanted to have a group fight like before, but Wang Feng didn't feel bad, he just had a good fight, and looking at these, the soldiers who rushed up were all barehanded, and they were obviously abiding by the unwritten rules. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 282. Wang Feng saw that the soldiers had already rushed up, and hurriedly said to Lu Feng, "Old Lu, don't hurt anyone, just treat it as a fight. But be careful of Dai Jianfeng." "Yeah," Lu Feng nodded, indicating that he understood. In fact, when he saw those soldiers rushing up, they were all unarmed, and their eyes were full of excitement, without murderous intent. He understood a little bit in his heart. This was just like when he was in the Hope Camp, fighting with the soldiers of the Guardian Corps, just for fun, not really killing. At this time, the soldiers had already boarded the hurricane and rushed to their side. Wang Feng and the other 3 stood back to back and launched a defense. One by one, the soldiers were constantly knocked away by them. Because these soldiers were enhancers, Wang Feng and the others were not worried that they would be really injured, so they let go. Those who were knocked down by Lu Feng were lucky, because Lu Feng knew that he couldn't kill them, and most of them were just kicked away, which was not a big deal. Those who were knocked down by Wang Feng and Gui Weivong were a bit miserable, because these 2 people had mastered the essence of the group fights in the army back then, and every move was aimed at their faces. So the soldiers who were knocked down by Lu Feng didn't seem to have any scars, as if they didn't suffer any loss, but those who were knocked down by the other 2 were miserable, and the lightest was a panda eye before they could go down. This kind of person was usually hit by Gui Weivong, because he was a power enhancer and his speed was not that fast. Wang Feng's side was different. He often waved his hand 2 or 3 times, and after beating the person black and blue, he would let the soldier die gloriously and fly down the hurricane. The movement at the door quickly attracted a group of soldiers, and even the officers in the military department came out, but Dai Guo still didn't show up. It was also a coincidence that Dai Guo was now in the room of Commander Wang Tao. Because of the current housing shortage, even the commander had to combine the office and bedroom together. Dai Guo sat opposite Wang Tao and told him all his experiences in the Hope Base, including the existence of Li Yingning. Wang Tao seemed to be older, about 60 years old, with a thin and resolute face, and not many wrinkles. Under his two white eyebrows, a pair of deep eyes added a bit of majesty to his appearance. His short hair was all white, but he looked energetic and sat there straight. Although the two heard the noise outside, they didn't take it seriously. After all, it was mealtime, and there were too many people downstairs. Now they also cancelled the habit of singing before meals. In addition, there were so many civilians, so basically at this time every day, it would be noisy downstairs. They had long been accustomed to it. Who would have thought that it was now a mess downstairs? "Come down," an officer shouted downstairs. Judging from his military rank, he is actually a major general, but judging from his appearance, he is only about 30 years old. It is estimated that this major general should have been awarded the rank after the end of the world. Before the end of the world, there would definitely not be such a young general. Hearing the officers shout, the soldiers slowly stopped attacking. In fact, they also found that they seemed to be no match for the three people above. However, since the fight has started, they cannot stop. It can only end after one side falls. Now that the officer has spoken, it means that they are going to take action, and these soldiers all retreated. At this time, the initiator of the incident, Dai Jianfeng, did not come forward again, because he knew that Dai Guo had returned. If he behaved too conspicuously in this incident, it would be easy for people to think of the reason for his previous actions, and he would be in trouble at that time. Anyway, now that the matter has become a big deal, it will definitely not end without a real fight. Now he just hoped that in the next battle of the Evolvers, there would be accidental injuries, and it would be best if someone was killed accidentally. It didn't matter which side it was. Now Dai Jianfeng mainly wanted to provoke conflicts between the two camps, because he didn't know the existence of the instructor, so naturally he didn't expect that there would be any changes in this matter. He just thought that Wang Feng and his team came to negotiate an alliance with his camp, which he had to destroy anyway. On the way back, he figured out where Wang Feng and his team's base was. Wang Feng once said that he would wait for Dai Guo at the Black Dragon Bridge, and with the hurricane they drove, there was no doubt that their base was in Black Dragon City. He also knew the terrain there, and naturally knew that it was an ideal place for refuge. If the two bases cooperated, and Wang Feng and his team lent Commander Wang Tao a place and asked them to move there, it would be difficult for him to come forward later, because Wang Feng and his team would definitely tell about their performance at that time. Although he was trying to complete the mission, his methods were not very glorious after all. Dai Guo might help him conceal it in front of the commander because of their childhood friendship, but he felt that Wang Feng would never do that, so he had to disrupt the meeting between the two bases. Now his goal has been achieved. In his opinion, since a conflict has occurred, the other party is not a brother unit like before the end of the world where they meet each other every day. His commander, who has a tough personality, will definitely not give them a good look. It is estimated that this meeting will be ruined. If there is an accidental injury later, it will be more perfect. After the Major General shouted his soldiers away, he stood in front, squinted his eyes and looked at Wang Feng and the other three, snorted coldly, "Humph. You are all good at fighting, but you are not qualified to come here to make trouble with this ability. Brothers, go." As soon as the voice fell, the Major General rushed up and jumped directly onto the hurricane. Two people behind him also jumped onto the hurricane. They were all Evolvers. The other Evolvers were also eager to try, but when they saw that there were already 3 people on it, they did not move. Those soldiers were all enhancers. They could use their numbers to bully the few when dealing with these Evolvers, but now it was a duel between Evolvers, so they could not do that. After all, this was not a battle with the enemy, and the enemy had not killed them. Although more than 100 soldiers were beaten black and blue in the previous battle, they were in a mess, but these people were all discerning people, and they all saw that Wang Feng and others did not really hit hard. Those soldiers just looked more embarrassed, with black and blue faces and blood flowing. But there were no injuries, only superficial injuries. Apart from being a little ugly, there was nothing else. It didn't even affect the combat effectiveness. After the three evolvers went up, unexpectedly, Lu Feng and Gui Wuivong all took a step back, letting Wang Feng out. It was like a 1-on-3 situation. The leading major general couldn't help but burst into anger, snorted again, and rushed towards Wang Feng. The other two also launched at the same time, all targeting Wang Feng. We didn't intend to bully the few with the many. Since you guys are pretending to be cool, don't blame us. The major general and the other three thought so. And because they were rushing to come up, all the two evolvers behind were agile. Because they were fast, the power types just wanted to move, and they had already jumped onto the hurricane. The four figures instantly fought together, but surprisingly, in less than a minute, all three evolvers were knocked down by Wang Feng. Although they did not suffer any damage, it was a duel, not a life and death fight, so the fact that these three people fell down the hurricane meant that they had already lost. Did you use superpowers? The major general looked disdainful, and asked Wang Feng contemptuously. No, Wang Feng shook his head, just playing, not using superpowers. Without superpowers, how can you be so fast? The disdain in the major general's eyes turned into surprise, but looking at Wang Feng's expression, the major general believed that Wang Feng was not lying. I am an agile evolver, second level, Wang Feng said lightly. When Wang Feng just said that he was an agile evolver, the major general opened his mouth and wanted to speak, probably to say that we are also agile evolvers, but the second level, behind Wang Feng made him swallow his words back. The evolvers below all looked at each other in bewilderment. Level 2? Are there level 2 evolvers? Then, all of them looked at Wang Feng, their eyes full of fighting spirit. The next moment, 4 evolvers flew up the hurricane together and rushed towards Wang Feng. 3 won't work, then 4. Anyway, you said you are a level 2 evolver, 1 level higher than us, so we can only fight with more people. However, although the imagination is very good, within 2 minutes, the 4 people all fell off the hurricane again. This is because Wang Feng didn't go all out to save their face. The reason is very simple. According to Duan Lei's guess, the person in charge of the space is the instructor's subordinate, which means that the soldiers in front of him are all his own people, and the cause of the incident was also deliberately provoked by Dai Ji Unfen with words. The fault is not with these soldiers. They just act according to the rules in the barracks. As soon as the 4 people fell off the hurricane, 5 more evolvers jumped onto the hurricane and continued to fight. 3 minutes later, all 5 people got off the car, followed by 6 people, 4 minutes, 7 people, 5 minutes. Wang Feng seemed to be taking special care of their time. For every extra person, he let them hold on for 1 more minute. In fact, after Li Yingning's guidance, if Wang Feng really went all out and used Apocalypse, I'm afraid that even if 10 of them came up at once, they would be killed by Wang Feng within a minute. Of course, this is without taking into account the superpowers, because now the superpowers of evolvers are all kinds of strange. If both sides go all out and activate their superpowers, Wang Feng can't guarantee that he can retreat unscathed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 283. After the 8 evolvers who went up for the last time still failed to defeat Wang Feng, no one finally jumped up. These evolvers were not fools. They also saw that Wang Feng did not use his full strength, and no matter how many people there were, they would not be able to defeat Wang Feng. There are no more edges, unless you continue to go up after going up once, but depending on the situation, if you don't use special powers, you probably have little hope of winning. But with so many people, once they use their powers, it is easy to lose control. If there are casualties outside, they may form a deadly feud. It seems that the other party is also a soldier. After all, he drives a hurricane. Almost all these evolutionists know this car. The most famous armored fighting vehicle in the military. "Which army are you from?" asked the Major General who was the first to attack Wang Feng. "Hope Base, Guardian Legion." Wang Feng looked at the Major General and said with a smile. Dai Jianfeng felt bad after the Major General asked that question. It seemed that this battle did not reach the level he imagined after all. This is because after receiving special training from Li Yingning, Wang Feng's current combat ability has been greatly improved. Growth, coupled with the fact that he is a second-order evolver, at the same time, even if the blast is not activated, it will passively increase Wang Feng's speed. Therefore, these soldiers will be defeated by Wang Feng. The most important thing is that in the days when Wang Feng entered the Black Dragon Mountain to kill mutant beasts under the arrangement of Li Yingning, his combat power grew too fast because of the existence of Apocalypse. Wang Feng is basically not afraid of injury, and there are all kinds of mutant beasts. With so many mutant beasts as sparring partners, it is difficult for Wang Feng not to make progress. After the end of the world, these soldiers spent most of their time fighting zombies. Although there were also mutated zombies, they were all killed by the cooperation of several people. In addition, it was a life and death battle at that time, and there were no restrictions on various tricks. It comes as it comes, and now you can't kill, so many people are using the trap and can't use it, so Wang Feng basically singles out one of their bases. Dai Jianfeng feels bad now, but he dare not speak now, because the Major General who just spoke out is a military commander and has a higher status than him, and if he speaks out again, everyone will notice him, so Dai Jianfeng just had a sinister look in his eyes and quietly stepped back. "You guys are not here to play, are you?" the Major General asked, the expression on his face not so serious. "Oh? How can you see it?" Wang Feng was stunned and asked with a smile. "Because it can be seen that you are all real soldiers," the Major General said, turning to look at the soldiers who had been beaten with bruises and swollen faces. Although he was unwilling to admit it, the Major General had to say that the master in front of him was in the military camp before. He was definitely not a good person. This group fight was so professional. The Major General was even sure that there were absolutely no injuries on those soldiers. Because this guy kept his record all on the faces of the soldiers on his side. This is the real way to fight in a group fight in a military camp, because the basis for their judgment of victory or defeat is to see which side is more injured and looks more embarrassed. Therefore, like Lu Feng, who stupidly kicked those soldiers away and landed on the chest, buttocks, etc., there is no way to see his achievements. Because no one will drag off their clothes to prove to you that you have hurt him. This kind of thing must not be admitted even to death. Wang Feng and Gui Weivu obviously did not waste any effort. They greeted each other in these. A person's face is something you can't even cover up even if you want to. Real soldiers can't play games. Wang Feng did not admit it directly. Instead, he acted as if he was playing games by himself and asked again. Real soldiers wouldn't do such boring things, right? Challenging the strong is what soldiers have to do. When the Major General said this, he shook his head helplessly. "Although I don't want to admit it, in front of you, we are really humming weak enough." "Ha ha ha ha," Wang Feng laughed. Then he jumped off the hurricane, came to the Major General, stretched out his hand and said, "Hope Base Military Commander, Wang Feng." The Major General stretched out his hand to shake hands with Wang Feng, commander of the 2nd Army of Group R, Huang Hua. Huang Hua looks a bit fat and fair, with a round face, big eyes, and 2 light eyebrows. He looked quite festive, not much like a soldier, but Huang Hua was very tall. If he hadn't fought against him, Wang Feng would have thought he was a power evolver. We came here with Commander Dai Guo to see Commander Wang, but we came too late yesterday, so we didn't bother Commander Wang. Unexpectedly, there was a misunderstanding just now, Wang Feng said apologetically. After all, they have defeated people. If they continue to show off, they will really offend people. They are here to accept people, not to offend them. Okay. Let's get the hell out of here. It's time to eat and do what you should do. You've been beaten into a pig's head. Do you still want others to praise you? Huang Hua said to those who were still gathered around. Shouted the soldier. After hearing Huang Hua's words, the soldiers hung their heads one by one and went over listlessly to queue up to receive their meals. They couldn't afford to be beaten in vain and lose their meals. That would be a big loss, but fortunately these three soldiers, the ruthless man, also beat down those officers, so they didn't have to worry about being criticized after they returned. After all, the officers themselves didn't find their way back, and they probably didn't have the interest to go back and mention this matter again. Wang Feng smiled softly and thought to himself, this damn mantra must be the mantra of the commander of Army Group R, so both Dai Guo and Huang Huake like to use this mantra. This is the case in the army. The habits of officers often affect the entire army. Similarly, the character of a military officer will also affect all the soldiers under his command. This is why it is said that one soldier is a raging soldier, and a raging general is a den. If the military chief dares to fight and fight hard, his soldiers will also fight and fight hard. If the military chief is cowardly, he will not be able to produce any good soldiers. After disbanding the soldiers, Huang Hua pulled Wang Feng and said, Lao Dai hasn't come down yet, I'll take you up directly. Don't wait any longer. Wang Feng did not refuse, and waved directly to Lu Feng and Gui Weivue, motioning for them to follow, and then followed Huang Hua into the military building. Lu Feng just jumped out of the car and planned to close and lock the door of the Hurricane before returning. Weivue grabbed him and left. So many people watched you lock the door? Isn't it just a slap in the face? Some of the evolvers who had fought with them just now also followed in, and they seemed to be qualified to enter the commander's office. Wang Feng followed Huang Hua up the stairs. Along the way, Huang Hua said very familiarly, Huh? Let me tell you. You just said, that you are the military commander of the Hope Base? It means that all soldiers listen to you. After finishing speaking, Huang Hua also looked at Wang Feng's shoulder, because Wang Feng's military rank had been thrown out of the window of that small building together with Duan Lei's military rank at the beginning of the apocalypse, and the reserve bases. There are no military ranks in the military, so now Wang Feng's shoulders are bare and he doesn't even have the rank of private. Haha. I was a lieutenant before the end of the world. After the end of the world, I got lucky and established a base. Therefore, I am responsible for all combat-related matters, Wang Feng explained with a smile. Oh, Huang Hua nodded. He did not look down on Wang Feng just because he was just a lieutenant. Soldiers admired and respected the strong. Wang Feng was able to defeat the masters of their entire base with one person. This alone, no one in the base dares to underestimate Wang Feng. Then how many soldiers do you have? Huang Hua asked again. He was not seeking information, but he was just curious to know how far this immature-looking little guy had achieved. There are probably more than 3,000 soldiers fighting. Wang Feng told the truth, the Guardian army was indeed more than 3,000 people. Oh, Huang Hua nodded. With more than 3,000 people, he could almost catch up with an army of his. After the end of the world, the formation of the team was not as complete as before the end of the world. Generally speaking, an army only has 3,000 to 4,000 people. Similar to the previous divisions. For example, Dai Guo's 5th Army had more than 4,000 people. Huang Hua's 2nd Army was more elite, but it still did not reach 5,000 people. How big is your base? How many people are there? Huang Hua has transformed into a curious baby. How big or small, I can't tell you specifically. I don't have much idea about the area, but the entire Heilong city is almost our base now, Wang Feng replied. He said it was basically because they don't have anyone in Jianguan town now. After moving in and establishing a defense system in Jianguan town, it can truly be said that the entire Heilong city is the territory of the Hope base. As for the population, it should be more than 800,000 now, Wang Feng thought for a while and then added. Hi, Huang Hua took a breath of air conditioning, a population of 800,000. This kid is so capable, and does Heilong City, a small city with a population of 800,000. The total population of Heilong City. Huang Hua said with some confusion. It's not the population of Heilong City. At first, Heilong City only left small camps, usually with about 1,000 people. Later, a zombie wave broke out in Jianguan town. Wang Feng briefly told Huang Hua about the corpse wave. He said. In the end, there were less than 100,000 people left in the entire Black Dragon City. Later, we recaptured Haki City, wiped out the zombie tide in Haki City, and then gathered more than 600,000 survivors, plus some small camps joined in, and there were more than 800,000 survivors. You can do it? You can actually take back a city? And Haki City is not a small city. There are a lot of zombies in it, right? Huang Hua was a little shocked. Yeah. There are about more than 20 million zombies, Wang Feng nodded, and there is also a mutant skeleton that can control the mutant zombie king. Holy crap! You guys killed all these people? You guys are really fierce. Huang Hua looked shocked. Didn't you say you only have more than 3,000 combatants? How did you do it? Wang Feng was about to answer, but found that he had already reached the top floor. In other words, they had arrived. Huang Hua also reacted. We will talk about it later. Let's go see the commander first. Wang Feng naturally nodded in agreement and followed Huang Hua to a door. Huang Hua stood at attention outside the door and shouted, Report. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 284. At the same time, in the space battleship in outer space, the yellow and blue helmets were standing outside the captain's room and knocking on the door of the captain's room, looking a little anxious. The door of the captain's room opened, and the leader looked at the two people at the door and frowned. What's the matter? Leader. The remote monitoring in the control room found the traces of the devourer, said the blue helmet. What? So fast? After hearing the news, the leader's face changed drastically, and then walked out of the captain's room and walked towards the control room. Go and have a look. The yellow helmet and the blue helmet hurriedly followed. Leader. This is the vanguard of the devourer. According to their current speed, they will arrive here in about 100 days. Should we advance our plan? In the control room, a man wearing a red helmet pointed to a large screen in the control room and said. The big screen showed a star map with a relatively large planet on it, which looked very similar to the planet where Wang Feng was. Moreover, there was a light spot on the edge of this planet, which should be their space battleship. At the edge of the screen, more than a dozen light spots had entered the range of the screen, and there were new light spots behind, which were constantly increasing and entering the range of the screen display. The old man looked at the big screen in front of him, silent for a long time, as if he was lost in thought. The people on the side did not dare to urge him, but just stood by and waited quietly for their leader to make a decision. About 20 minutes later, the old man raised his head again, looked at the light spots on the screen, which were slowly approaching, sighed, and then turned away, saying, The plan remains unchanged. Monitor the devourer at any time, and tell me immediately if there are any new changes. Watching the old man leave the control room, the blue helmet and the yellow helmet looked at each other, nodded to the red helmet, and then followed. In this situation, you should immediately notify Shalomi and tell them that the plan remains unchanged for the time being, but let them speed up as much as possible to accelerate the growth of the Master of Apocalypse. We don't have much time. The old man felt that the two men had caught up, so he said without turning his head. Understood. Leader, Blue Helmet nodded and said, Shalomi has been following that person, but in order to accelerate his growth, they basically don't appear now, just lurking near him. Only when he is in danger, Shalomi will take action. Well. Very good. Let them do it, the old man nodded. However, Shalomi just sent a message saying that the man has now entered a human gathering place. In that gathering place, they felt a breath similar to that of the man in the Hope base. Blue Helmet spoke again. Well, the old man stopped, frowned, and thought for a while, and then moved forward again. Don't care about him, tell Shalomi that their mission now is to protect that person, and don't take action when he is not really in mortal danger. Yes, Blue Helmet agreed. Also, tell the guys in the control room to be careful. When the Devourer approaches, don't let them find us. This is the most important thing. If the Devourer finds us, all our efforts will be wasted and there will be no chance of recovery, the old man warned sternly. Don't worry, leader. We will pay attention, the Blue Helmet replied seriously. Well. That's good. No need to follow me. Go and get busy. If the situation changes, notify me immediately. The old man waved his hand, signaling the two to leave, and then walked alone to the captain's room and quickly disappeared from the two's sight. Less than 3 seconds after Huang Hua finished his report, the door opened. It was Dai Guo who opened the door. He was stunned when he saw Huang Hua, and then shouted, "Old Second! What are you doing here?" "Don't call me Old Second," Huang Hua roared, "I'm bringing your friends up to see the commander." Dai Guo was stunned, and then he saw Wang Feng and others following Huang Hua. He quickly turned around and looked at Wang Tao. "Commander. They are coming up." "Then come in," Wang Tao nodded, stood up, and said softly. Dai Guo had almost told him about the situation of the Hope base. He also had a general understanding of Wang Feng and others. He was also shocked by the strength of the Hope base. Dai Guo would not lie to him, so those thousands of evolvers should exist. And now Wang Feng and his men only came with 3 people, obviously not to forcibly recruit them by force, so naturally Wang Tao would not be too indifferent. Dai Guo stepped aside upon hearing this and let the door open. Huang Hua entered the room first, followed by Lu Feng and Gui Weivong, and finally the officers who came to join in the fun. Wang Tao did not expect that so many of his subordinates would be there, but since he had already told them to come in, he could not drive them out. Moreover, looking at the faces of his subordinates, why did they all look like they had been beaten up? Huang Hua saw Wang Tao's strange expression and could not help but smile bitterly. "Report to the commander." Just now the brothers saw that these 3 brothers were unfamiliar, so they could not help but have a fight with them below. Humph! What was the result? Huang Hua looked at Wang Feng and the other 2 who were unharmed and snorted coldly. The result is what you see, we were beaten up," Huang Hua said with a bitter face. "Hello, Commander. I am Wang Feng, the military commander of the Hope base. You can call me a madman. I was just joking with my brothers just now." "Don't mind." Wang Feng hurried forward and saluted Wang Tao. "Madman? Yes. It's really like a madman. You beat my soldiers in my territory and dare to come to see me. You really act like a madman." Wang Tao did not return the salute. He looked at Wang Feng and said, "You beat people like this for fun? If you are serious, I guess there will be no one left now, right?" Wang Feng looked back at Huang Hua and others, thought about it, and then answered honestly, "Yes, it's just that his voice was not so loud." Hearing Wang Feng's answer, Wang Tao's face turned a little green, and Huang Hua and others' faces were not good either. But they couldn't refute it, because they did lose. Should they say that they didn't activate their superpowers? The same is true for the other party. And there are so many people on their side, no matter how they say it, it's not justifiable, and losing is losing, they don't bother to make excuses. Commander. They came here on the orders of Shura, and they were all trained by instructor Shura himself. Seeing that the situation seemed a little tense, Dai Guo hurriedly said, and specifically pointed out that Wang Feng and others were trained by instructor Shura. Sure enough, after this sentence came out, not only did Huang Hua and others look much better, but even Wang Tao's face was not so green, but he was not happy yet. Sit down, Wang Tao pointed to the chair next to Wang Feng and said, as if he was not going to pursue the previous matter. Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief and sat on the chair. What are you here for? Are you here to form an alliance? Wang Tao also sat down slowly and looked at Wang Feng and asked. I don't know either. Wang Feng shook his head. The instructor Shura gave me a letter, saying that I should bring it to Apostle Peter, and then just follow his orders. Apostle Peter, Wang Tao was stunned. You want to see him? Yes, Wang Feng nodded. The instructor said that we just need to say that Apostle Paul is looking for him. Apostle Paul? Wang Tao thought about it and nodded. Okay. I can help you convey it, but I can't guarantee whether he will see you or not. No need. I'm here. As soon as Wang Tao finished speaking, a somewhat indifferent voice sounded at the door. Everyone in the room looked in the direction of the voice and saw a soldier wearing camouflage and a beast mask on the upper half of his face standing at the door like a javelin. Wang Tao stood up immediately when he saw this person, stood at attention, saluted and said, Instructor Wild Wolf. The masked man did not speak, but nodded slightly, then strode to Wang Feng, who also stood up, looked Wang Feng up and down, and then said, Shura asked you to come. Where is the letter? Wang Feng did not answer, but turned to look at Wang Tao. Wang Tao nodded and said, he is my former instructor, the Apostle Peter you are looking for. Then, Wang Tao waved to the others in the room and said, you all go out. No need. Stay. Anyway, it's almost time, the cold voice of Apostle Peter sounded, so Wang Tao nodded to the officers and stopped talking, but moved to the side and gave up his position. Wang Tao's actions made Wang Feng's heart move. It seemed that this Apostle Peter was indeed the actual leader of this base. Wang Tao was just a subordinate in front of them. Thinking of this, Wang Feng had already confirmed the identity of the masked man in front of him, Apostle Peter. Without any concealment, Wang Feng directly took out the letter that Li Yingning gave him from the Apocalypse space and handed it to the Apostle Peter in front of him. Apostle Peter saw that a letter suddenly appeared in Wang Feng's hand. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes on the mask, and then nodded thoughtfully, took the letter from Wang Feng's hand, and opened it directly. After reading the letter silently, Apostle Peter moved his palm, and the letter paper suddenly burned, and turned into flying ash in an instant, floating around. Wang Feng was shocked in his heart. Fire power? Apostle Peter ignored Wang Feng's surprise, turned around and came to the chair that Wang Tao had given up for him, slowly sat down, and then remained silent, as if thinking about something. Others in the room also did not speak, waiting quietly. For a moment, the room fell into silence. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 285. Wang Tao, Apostle Peter seemed to have made a decision and broke the silence. Give him all the survivors in our base. Take 2 out of the 6 armies and follow him back to Hope Base. From now on, you will be the people of the Hope Base. For the rest, I will take you to do something, but it should be very dangerous. If you don't want to go together, you can also join the Hope Base. When Apostle Peter said this, Wang Tao didn't have any violent reaction. He had known the identity of Apostle Peter for a long time. He had just learned from Dai Guo that Shura was stationed at the Hope Base. Now Wang Tao naturally knew what Wang Feng said. who was the Apostle Paul, so there was no surprise in the decision of the Apostle Peter. Wang Tao even felt that there were too few people sent to Hope Base. In Wang Tao's previous estimation, Apostle Peter might directly merge all his bases into Hope Base. Now there are still 4 armies left. I wonder if Apostle Peter is what are you going to do with them? Wang Tao was not surprised, but the expressions of his subordinates all changed. They had some admiration for Wang Feng, but they couldn't accept the sudden announcement that they would be annexed by the Hope Base. Although they were all vaguely aware of the existence of the Apostle Peter had never appeared in front of them so openly as he did today, and the first order he personally gave was to send people from his base to the Hope Base. They didn't care about the survivors, and they couldn't afford them in the first place, but they still had 2 troops to send out. The remaining soldiers they have now add up to 6 armies, each with less than 5,000 soldiers, which means that the total number of soldiers is less than 30,000. Now the Apostle Peter will say a word and they will be divided. 10,000, of course they are not willing to do this. Report. 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 Almost all the soldiers shouted reports after the words spoken by the Apostle Peter. Fortunately, they were all soldiers and had a sense of discipline, so there was no chaos. Shut the hell up, Wang Tao suddenly shouted, and the room suddenly became quiet. What are you doing? Instructor Yelang's words are my words, and they are orders. If you don't want to follow them, you can take off this military uniform and get out of here. Don't say that you are my Wang Tao soldier in the future. Wang Tao stepped forward and faced his own. The subordinate roared. Seeing Wang Tao's anger, the officers below who were originally excited suddenly wilted and closed their mouths. Your name is Wang Feng, right? Shura thinks very highly of you. After the room became quiet, Apostle Peter looked at Wang Feng and said, I saw what happened below just now. His skills are indeed good, but, if you want to successfully receive my troops, you must first agree to do something for me, otherwise. Even if Shura has an order, I don't have to carry it out. What's going on? Wang Feng looked at the Apostle Peter and asked. We'll talk about this later. You first follow Wang Tao to arrange the personnel who need to be transferred to the Hope Base. If necessary, you can also escort them back first, and then you come to me alone. Remember, you can do it by yourself, said the Apostle Peter. Wang Feng was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Anyway, Li Yingning said that after giving the letter to the Apostle Peter here, you can just follow his orders. Wang Tao, take them all down. Do what I just told you. Apostle Peter stood up, left these words, and walked out of the room. Okay. Come down with me, Wang Tao said with a dark face. Seeing Wang Tao's face, none of the officers dared to say a word. It seemed that this place was different from the Sci-Fi base. Wang Tao had absolute authority here. The group of people came to the hall on the first floor below. Wang Tao looked at Wang Feng. Instructor Yelang said that he still has things to take us to do, so I won't give you too many people. According to what the instructor said, I will give you of the 2 armies. Dai Guo has already stayed with you, and you will take the rest with him later. You can choose any of the remaining 5 armies. After finishing speaking, Wang Tao turned around and shouted, Qi Yang, Huang Hua, Duans Haihong, Hu Weiguo, and Wang Haifeng come out. The 5 officers immediately came to the front and stood in a row in front of Wang Tao. Wang Tao looked at Wang Feng and said, this is the commander of the remaining 5 armies. You can just pick one. From now on, he will follow you. The faces of the 5 people were a little ugly, but no one said anything. Wang Feng looked around, and finally focused on Huang Hua, because after all, Wang Feng had the deepest impression of Huang Hua. Seeing Wang Feng looking at him, Huang Hua smiled bitterly and said, okay. I knew it would be me. Damn it, I just caused you trouble, and this worldly retribution is here. Ha 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 ha, Wang Feng couldn't help but laugh, and then looked at Wang Tao, "Commander Wang. I want Huang Hua." Wang Tao nodded, and then said, "Huang Hua stays, and the others will go down and prepare immediately. Gather all the civilians and prepare to move. Prepare more vehicles. There will be no need for food or anything else. Their base has a lot of food, and they don't need this much. Order some food." There seemed to be some resentment in Wang Tao's words. As the commander, he would definitely be unhappy if his team was transferred, but there was nothing he could do about it. After all, it was the Yelang instructor who said it himself. If there was no Yelang instructor, I'm not sure what my base will look like. Soon, only Wang Feng, Lu Feng, Gui Wuivang, Dai Guo, Wang Tao, and Huang Hua were left in the hall. "Huang Hua, how are you?" After seeing everyone leaving, Wang Tao looked at Huang Hua, patted his shoulder and asked. "I obey the order." Huang Hua looked at Wang Tao, with tears flashing in his eyes. "Ha ha. Actually, I just hope he chooses you. You are still young. If we go with the instructor, it may be dangerous. I have inquired about the Hope Base. It is very safe there and the development is better than ours. Here we are. Over there, do your best." Wang Tao turned to look at Wang Feng and said with a smile, "This kid Huang Hua used to be the commander of my guard company. After the end of the world, he got lucky and became an evolver. Moreover, he was also well known in the army. He is considered a military leader, so I promoted him to be a military commander. Unexpectedly, he made the army that was expanded from the guard company into a decent one. From now on, I will leave it to you, so don't treat him badly. Chief, don't worry. Commander Huang will definitely have better development with us." Wang Feng nodded and promised. He chose Huang Hua not only because he was the youngest among the commanders, but also because he had been with them before. During the competition, Huang Hua handled the situation very well. He would admit when he lost and would never be sloppy. Later, he used words to scare them away, making it difficult for them to make another move. This can be said to be a talent. If Wang Feng's current thoughts were known to Huang Hua, he would definitely laugh and laugh. He, a veteran who has been in the army for more than 10 years, is actually being groomed as a talent by a man who looks about 20 years old and looks like a new recruit. It's a little awkward. Gui Wuivang was familiar with it, and went directly over to pat Huang Hua on the shoulder. "Huang Hua, don't worry. You will definitely adapt to our place, and I guarantee that when you come to our place, your strength will definitely improve very quickly." Wang Feng also came to Huang Hua, stretched out his hand to shake Huang Hua's hand, and said with a smile, "Is this the second time we shake hands today? Welcome to join the Hope Base. You will be my leader from now on, right?" Huang Hua also said with a smile. "Ha ha. It should be that since I am younger than you, I call you Lao Huang. You can just call me crazy like them." Wang Feng chuckled. "Madman. Ha ha. Okay. It's settled then." Huang Hua was not polite. "Old Huang. You go and assemble the troops first. After the civilians are ready, we will go back to Hope Base together," Wang Feng said. "Okay. I'll go first." Huang Hua nodded, then slowly came to Wang Tao, stared at Wang Tao for a while, then slowly raised his hand, saluted a military salute, and said with some choking, "Commander. Take care of yourself." Wang Tao also nodded and said with some emotion, "Go and do it." "Xiao Huang. Take care of yourself too." Huang Hua turned around and left. Wang Tao just stood there, watching Huang Hua disappear. No one from Wang Feng and others disturbed him, because they knew that this was the end of the world, and every separation might be the last one. Meet. After Huang Hua's figure disappeared, Wang Tao turned around and saw Dai Guo still standing behind him. His face sank and he said, "You kid, go and assemble the team too." He. Commander. All my troops have stayed at the Hope Base. The remaining soldiers belong to that boy Dai Jianfeng. Dai Guo quickly explained. When he said Dai Jianfeng, he hesitated and did not say anything in the end. Dai Jianfeng's behavior at that time was just to look at Wang Feng, and then he smiled again and said, I still don't know if our military chief wants that boy Dai Jianfeng. Wang Tao was stunned. When Dai Guo told him about the Hope Base just now, he didn't mention Dai Jianfeng's previous actions. Naturally, Dai Jianfeng himself would not tell the truth, so Wang Tao really didn't know what happened between Dai Jianfeng and Wang Feng. It's completely unclear. If it's Dai Jianfeng, forget it and leave his people to Commander Wang. We don't lack these soldiers. Wang Feng smiled softly. Whether Dai Jianfeng was in Haki City before, Wang Feng was disgusted by his performance and his behavior before the military headquarters just now. He would definitely not accept this kind of person. But Wang Feng didn't bother to ask him over first, and then deal with him after returning to the base. Wang Feng felt that there was no need to waste time on such a person, so he simply refused. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 286. After hearing what Wang Feng said, Wang Tao nodded. He knew that there must be some conflict between Dai Jianfeng and Wang Feng, and from his understanding of Dai Jianfeng, it must be Dai Jianfeng's problem. Wang Tao knew his officers well. He knew what kind of person Dai Jianfeng was. That's why Wang Tao never transferred Dai Jianfeng from Dai Guo's men to lead his army alone, because Wang Tao knew that if that happened, Dai Jianfeng, who was unwilling to be lonely, would definitely make trouble. Only by putting him under Dai Guo's command and letting Dai Guo suppress his fellow villager, Dai Jianfeng might not have any big problems. In fact, Wang Tao did this just to protect Dai Jianfeng. Unfortunately, Dai Jianfeng himself didn't understand and always wanted to surpass Dai Guo. However, his wish was impossible, at least when Wang Tao was still in charge. Now that Dai Guo was gone, Wang Feng didn't want Dai Jianfeng. Wang Tao began to feel a little headache. Without Dai Guo, how would Dai Jianfeng be arranged? To be honest, even if this kid was allowed to lead the 1,000 soldiers he brought back alone, Wang Tao felt that there would be trouble in the future, but now it was the end of the world, and he didn't want to give up the power of an evolver. Thinking of this, Wang Tao shook his head and had to wait until Wang Feng and the others left before talking about it. If Dai Jianfeng knew that Wang Feng didn't want him, but kept him and took Dai Guo away, he might have gotten rid of his current thoughts. Unfortunately, he didn't, so he left, so Wang Tao didn't have to worry about it. Dai Jianfeng saw clearly what happened at the entrance of the military department just now. When he saw Wang Hua leading Wang Feng and the others into the military department, he knew that he would be in trouble in a while. They confronted each other, and everyone heard what he said just now. Thinking of the previous incident in Haki City, his intentions could not be concealed. So, Dai Jianfeng was ready to run away. He didn't expect that Wang Feng didn't take him seriously. There were more than 2 months before the world would experience another disaster. Time was so tight. How could Wang Feng have time to complain to Wang Tao and find trouble with him? There was another person in the crowd who had seen everything that happened before. He had been paying attention to Dai Jianfeng's performance and Wang Feng's reactions. He narrowed his eyes and followed Dai Jianfeng when he was about to slip away. Dai Jianfeng returned to his military camp. The barracks were originally crowded, but now they seemed empty because only 1,000 soldiers had returned. The others had followed Dai Guo to the Hope Base and stayed there. Dai Jianfeng gathered the soldiers who had followed him back. These soldiers had just finished breakfast and ran out when they heard the whistle. I don't want to deceive you. I'm only telling you that the people we met before have come to our barracks to settle accounts with us. They are now in the military headquarters and have just had a fight with Commander Huang Hua and his men. Commander Huang Hua and his men are no match for them, so now they have gone to find Commander Wang. I understand that they must be here to ask for people, to ask for those of us who have offended them before. I didn't expect them to be so insidious. I thought they were kind when they let us go before. Now it seems that they let us go just to follow us here, and then use our previous affairs as an excuse to threaten the commander and ask him to compensate for supplies or people. Everyone, say. Do we want to let this kind of villain succeed? Dai Jianfeng said at the end, and asked loudly. No, 1,000 soldiers shouted together. They were also passionate soldiers. When they heard that someone was going to use their own mistakes to threaten their commander, they were all furious. No. We can't make things difficult for the commander. Yes. Let's go find them. I'll accept being killed or torn apart, but we can't let our base suffer because of us. Yes. Let's go to the military headquarters now. I'd rather die there than make things difficult for the commander. Let's go. Let's go to the military headquarters. Let's go. Fight them. Damn it. How dare they come to our door to bully us? Dai Jianfeng looked at these emotional soldiers and was secretly happy, but he immediately shouted, "Stop." The soldiers gradually calmed down and looked at Dai Jianfeng. Some of them couldn't help asking. Commander, you don't want us to hide here and make things difficult for the commander and the others, right? Yes. Commander. Let's fight them, or just stand there, and let them kill or torment us. Yes. I'm not afraid of death. Anyway, there's nothing to linger in this damn end of the world, leave early and feel at ease. That's right. Leave early and feel at ease. Commander. Just take us there. Shut up, Dai Jianfeng shouted loudly, you are all pig brains. Go to the military headquarters now. Wouldn't it make it more difficult for the commander and others to go to the military headquarters now? Do you think the commander will hand us over just because they are strong? Will the brothers in the barracks ignore us just because they are strong? No. They will fight those guys because of our appearance and because those people want to make things difficult for us. If we go there now, it will make things difficult for the commander and the brothers. We may even kill many of our brothers. We are soldiers, and so are our brothers. Can you watch your brothers die in front of you and remain indifferent? No. They can't. So we can't show up, as we will implicate them once we show up. What should we do then? A soldier asked in a tearful voice. Let's leave. Dai Jianfeng was waiting for the sentence, and immediately said with a look of grief and indignation, if we leave the barracks, they won't be able to find us, and they won't be able to use us to make trouble. We won't implicate anyone because of the previous incident, but our lives will be more dangerous in the future. Are you willing? Do you dare? Dare. What's there to be afraid of? Yes. Let's leave. Even if we all die outside, we can't implicate our brothers. Okay. Let's go. Seeing that his plan was successful, Dai Jianfeng hurriedly shouted, everyone stand at attention. 1,000 soldiers quickly resumed their ranks and stood there in an orderly manner. Those who are willing to leave here, even if they die outside, will not bring trouble to our other brothers. Go back and prepare your luggage immediately. We will leave as soon as possible, otherwise the commander will definitely send someone to find us. If he knows that we are leaving, the commander will definitely not let us go, because he knows that we are in too much danger outside. Go and prepare immediately. Gather in 5 minutes. As soon as Dai Jianfeng finished speaking, 1,000 soldiers immediately entered the barracks, packed their weapons and equipment and bags, and prepared to set off. Excellent. Quite excellent. When all the soldiers entered the barracks, a man came over clapping his hands and praising. Cheng Fang? What are you doing here? "You are from the 6th Army, and this is the base of the 5th Army," Dai Jianfeng asked with a frown. He knew the man who came. He was an evolver who had just joined the base not long ago and claimed to be a soldier. Wang Tao asked him about some things in the barracks and found that this guy was indeed a soldier, and seemed to be familiar with things in the military. It was only after he reminded him that Wang Tao vaguely remembered that there was such a base. Because his identity was confirmed, and Fang Chen was also an evolver, Wang Tao directly arranged Fang Chen to the 6th Army, temporarily as a staff officer without real power, and other matters will be discussed later. This Fang Chen is naturally the Fang Chen of the Sci-Fi base, an old friend of Wang Feng and his friends. After getting the body of the mutant corpse king, Fang Chen had no way to open it, and he was afraid that Wang Feng and his friends would return to Haki City to collect supplies and find him again, so he left Haki City. Finally, in a village, Fang Chen spent a day using the hacksaw he found to saw a crack in the skull of the mutant corpse king and get the evolutionary fluid inside. It can be said that Fang Chen was lucky. Such a mutant corpse king's evolutionary fluid actually made him an evolver, and he was not disturbed in the process of evolution. Maybe this is another favorable evidence of the millennium of Scourge? After Fang Chen became an evolver, he headed north again, because the south was Black Dragon City, the territory of the Hope Base. Fang Chen naturally would not seek revenge on Wang Feng and his friends just after becoming an evolver. He knew the strength of Wang Feng and his friends, so he came here and successfully joined Wang Tao's military camp and became the staff officer of the 6th Army. But this morning, Wang Feng's appearance scared Fang Chen half to death. One reason was that he thought Wang Feng was dead, but he didn't expect that he would appear alive in front of him. When he saw Wang Feng for the first time, Fang Chen thought he saw a ghost. Later, he thought that after the end of the world, it was not too exaggerated to be able to survive the explosion of 2 missiles. Maybe it was the effect of supernatural powers. There are indeed supernatural powers, such as Lu Feng's, but this is not what Fang Chen is most worried about. What Fang Chen is most afraid of is that at the beginning, Fang Chen thought that Wang Feng and his friends had discovered his traces and came to take his life, but after observing for a while, he found that this was not the case, because Dai Jianfeng's performance made him see the problem at once. Since he had been paying attention to Wang Feng and the others, when Dai Jianfeng showed up, Fang Chen immediately guessed what was going on from the expressions on Wang Feng and the others' faces. So Fang Chen calmed down and hid aside, watching the whole process quietly. When he saw Dai Jianfeng quietly leaving, Fang Chen knew that his chance had come. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 287. After following Dai Jianfeng to the military camp, Fang Chen hid behind and watched Dai Jianfeng's entire performance. He felt a little contemptuous. If he were to do this scene, the effect would definitely be better, especially before in front of the military department. Dai Jianfeng, the idiot, had been provoking for so long, and in the end Wang Feng and their soldiers had a friendly battle, which did not achieve the desired effect at all. If Fang Chen were to take action, Fang Chen would be completely confident that he could let those soldiers rush up to fight with Wang Feng and his men one by one like they were dealing with real enemies. At that time, if he made a random move and killed a soldier, it would arouse public anger. At that time, the situation would be completely out of control, and those evolvers would not hold back. It was all because of this idiot in front of him. He didn't know how to calculate people, and his ability to sow discord was too poor. He wasted a great opportunity in vain. If Fang Chen hadn't dared to speak just now, he would have easily provoked the crowd, and the situation would not be like that just now. It would have been out of control long ago. However, Fang Chen knew that he was not Dai Jianfeng. As long as he spoke, Wang Feng would never let him go. He would probably kill him first. At that time, although he could still cause a lot of trouble to Wang Feng and others, he was already disabled. What's the point of killing Wang Feng? So Fang Cheng kept hiding behind and forbearing until Dai Jianfeng left, and then he followed him, because he also wanted to leave, and he didn't know what Wang Feng and others were doing here. If he was discovered, he couldn't leave. No matter from which aspect, I'm afraid that the commander of this base would not offend a base because of a newly joined evolver, especially the matter of the Sky-Fire base. No matter how you look at it, I'm afraid he is humming unreasonable. After hearing what Dai Jianfeng said, Fang Cheng just chuckled and said, "I'll go with you. If that idiot comes, I can't stay here either. Otherwise, I'll die even more miserably than you." Dai Jianfeng was stunned. "The idiot you're talking about is..." "It's those three idiots standing in the car. If it weren't for them, I would also be the leader of a base. These guys just can't stand others doing well. They destroyed my base and killed hundreds of thousands of people. They are simply murderers, inhumane, and crazy." Fang Cheng gritted his teeth and said. Dai Jianfeng was delighted when he heard this. He knew that Fang Cheng was an evolver. Now it seemed that Fang Cheng's hatred for Wang Feng and the others was deeper than his hatred for them. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. What's more, Fang Cheng was originally a member of his base. Although he had joined for only 2 days, he was still one of his own. Dai Jianfeng certainly wanted to have another evolver following him, especially since they had the same enemy, which was considered like-minded. "You want to go with us?" Dai Jianfeng confirmed again. "They shouldn't stay here for long. You are alone and it is easy to hide." "I want to leave. Originally, I stayed here to see if there was a chance to use the power here to take revenge. When I mentioned the reserve base, I had this intention. Now that they have united, I guess there will be no chance in the future. I can only leave. If you don't leave, I will leave first. I can't stay here for long now." Fang Cheng directly told him the purpose of mentioning the reserve base. Anyway, Dai Jianfeng was about to leave now, so it didn't matter if he told him, and he could also gain his trust. "Oh. So that's it? Then let's go together." Dai Jianfeng suddenly realized and really believed Fang Cheng more. "It just so happens that I will also find a chance to take revenge on them in the future. Anyway, their base can't run away, and we have plenty of time in the future. Make a decision quickly. I guess they will reach an agreement soon. By then, I'm afraid they won't be able to leave," Fang Cheng urged. At this time, all the soldiers also walked out of the barracks one after another, carrying backpacks on their backs, holding weapons in their hands, and fully armed. They gathered in front of Dai Jianfeng again. "Let me introduce you to everyone. This is the staff officer of the 6th Army, because..." Dai Jianfeng introduced Fang Cheng to the soldiers in front of him. Just when he was about to say that Fang Cheng had to go with everyone because he was an enemy of Wang Feng, Fang Cheng interrupted him. "Hello everyone. My name is Fang Cheng. I am the staff officer of the 6th Army. I am here to invite everyone to the military headquarters under the order of the commander." As soon as Fang Cheng said this, Dai Jianfeng's face changed drastically. What the hell is going on? Is the script wrong? Why do we have to go to the military headquarters again? If we go, these soldiers will definitely be fine, but he will be dead. Unexpectedly, when he just looked at Fang Cheng continued to talk, because Fang Cheng was afraid that this idiot would really ask, and then everything would be leaked. Just now, when Dai Jianfeng opened his mouth, Fang Cheng could hear that he was going to tell the truth, and he couldn't help but curse this pig in his heart. Now he hasn't left the barracks yet. If he wants these soldiers to really believe that if they don't leave, they will implicate other comrades, can he tell the truth at this time? But although I am following the order of Commander Wang, I am not going to execute it. I am going to disobey orders for the first time in my military career, Fang Cheng said loudly, with a righteous face, because when they were talking to Commander Wang, I was also beside them. I heard the general situation. It should be that you offended them in order to complete the task, so they used this as an excuse to trouble us and try to make us agree to some of their conditions. I don't want to let these people who bully us succeed, so I came to persuade everyone to leave. Although it is unfair to you and very dangerous, I am very happy. When I arrived here, Commander Dai told me that you have decided to leave. You are worthy of being soldiers of our group army. You would rather face danger yourself than let your comrades down. I admire you. So, I will leave with you too. One day, when we are really strong, we will let those arrogant and greedy guys know how powerful we are. Speaking of this, Fang Cheng said to Dai Jianfeng, Commander Dai. There is no time to lose. Let's set off quickly. It will be too late if we are late. Moreover, we have to go out under the banner of an emergency mission. Fortunately, the sentry post today is arranged by the 6th Army, and I can still speak. Otherwise, it would be a hassle to go out. Their barracks also have intercoms, and the sentry post at the door is a must. Generally, when someone goes out, the sentry will confirm with the military headquarters first. Originally, Dai Jianfeng was going to force his way through the checkpoint, but now that Fang Cheng said this, it is obvious that they are safer. At Dai Jianfeng's command, the soldiers in front of him instantly disbanded and climbed onto the military vehicles in the barracks. 1,000 soldiers drove 20 military vehicles and drove to the gate of the barracks. At this time, Wang Feng was talking with Apostle Peter, and most of the other officers were in Wang Tao's room, so no one paid attention to them. After reaching the door, Fang Cheng said directly to the sentry, Xiao Li. Open the door quickly, Commander Dai and his men have an urgent mission, I will help them lead the way, this is the order just issued by the commander. The sentry at the door saw that it was his staff officer, and he did not doubt him, and hurriedly opened the door and let Dai Jianfeng and his men out. Looking at the military camp gradually moving away behind him, Fang Cheng narrowed his eyes, revealing a cold look in his eyes, and muttered, Hope Base. You wait. One day, you will regret provoking me. Wang Tao and Wang Feng certainly did not know that Dai Jianfeng had left, and whether it was the assembly of the troops or the preparations before the survivors' transfer, it would take some time, so Wang Tao, Wang Feng, and others all came to the entrance of the military department. Seeing the hurricane at the entrance of the military department, Wang Tao laughed and said, You are really extravagant. You even have a hurricane. It seems that you have obtained the reserve base. Yes. It was given to us by Instructor Shura, because his last mission before the end of the world was in that base. Later, he met me and joined my base, so he gave me the reserve warehouse. Wang Feng smiled and said. You mean that the base is yours? Not Instructor Shura's. Wang Tao suddenly looked a little strange. It was okay to hand over his own soldiers to Instructor Shura, after all, he was the captain of the Dark Thorn, the most powerful man in the world, and the boss of his instructor. But if he handed it over to this little guy, Wang Tao would feel a little uncomfortable. Yes. In name, it belongs to me. Wang Feng realized that he had let it slip because he spoke too quickly, but he remained calm and said, The instructor never cares about anything. The management of the base is all left to me and another guy named Duan Lei. In fact, it's almost the same as yours. Commander Dai also said at the beginning that the highest commander of this base is Commander Wang. Oh. That's right. It seems that a hidden thorn is a hidden thorn, Wang Tao suddenly realized, yes. A hidden thorn, of course, must be in the dark. Can the one exposed outside still be called a hidden thorn? That's called ivory. Seeing Wang Tao's expression, Wang Feng secretly breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that he had finally gotten away with it. He almost messed it up. At this moment, a school officer ran over, saluted Wang Tao, and then said to Dai Guo, Commander Dai. What are your brothers from the 5th Army doing? I just wanted to borrow some people from them to help organize the survivors, but there was no one in your barracks, not even a sentry post. What? Dai Guo was anxious, there's not even a sentry post. No. I have to go and see. Wait, Wang Tao hurriedly stopped Dai Guo and looked back at Wang Feng. I can call you crazy too, right? Wang Feng smiled and nodded. Crazy? Lend me your hurricane, let's go and see it together, Wang Tao asked. Sure. Commander, are you going to drive it yourself? Wang Feng smiled. From Wang Tao's eyes, he saw Wang Tao's love for hurricane, but Wang Feng didn't plan to give him one, so it would be no problem for him to drive it for fun. Ha ha ha. I was just about to show off my skills. I haven't driven for a long time. Wang Tao heard this and walked towards the hurricane excitedly. The door was not closed to begin with, so Wang Tao got into the hurricane directly, sat in the driving seat, started the hurricane with ease, and then drove towards the 5th Army's base. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzu. Chapter 288. Wang Tao didn't care whether other people got on the bus or not, because it was the end of the world now, and those were all evolved, so there was no need to worry about their getting on the bus. When Wang Feng and Wang Tao just got into the cab, they sat in the co-pilot's seat. And then looked at Wang Tao, who was like a child who got a toy, and asked a little funny. Commander Wang, your army group R should not be without hurricanes, right? Oh. Of course there is. There are 3 more. It's just. Forget it. It's embarrassing to say it, so I won't tell you. Anyway, in the future, if you see a hurricane with an R logo on its body, you will stop it and hit the driver. If you die, the car will be yours. After hearing Wang Feng's question, Wang Tao said angrily. Wang Feng was stunned for a moment, and then realized that the hurricane of Army Group R must have been stolen either by someone or by an insider. He stopped asking questions at the moment and looked ahead quietly. The military camp was not big to begin with, so Wang Feng and the others soon arrived at the 5th Army's station. As soon as they approached the station, Dai Guo jumped off the roof of the car, and then rushed into the camp, looking around and looking around. Yelled, "Damn it, Dai Jianfeng, that bastard! Next time you let me see him, I'll shoot him." The hurricane drove into the 5th Army barracks and stopped at the door. Wang Tao also got out of the car, looked at the empty barracks, shook his head, and looked back at Wang Feng. Can you tell me what happened between you two before? I think it's better for Commander Dai to talk about what happened in Haki City. As for the military department, I'll wait until Commander Dai finishes speaking. Wang Feng smiled softly, looked at Wang Tao and said, "Dai Guo, come here, don't stop standing by that shrew and curse. What's the point of scolding you when everyone is gone?" Wang Tao pointed at Dai Guo and shouted. After hearing Wang Tao's roar, Dai Guo became more honest. He quickly ran over and told what happened in Haki City. Even before, Dai Jianfeng yelled that the God of Liberty appeared and sent heavenly soldiers to save them because the believers of the God of Liberty saw them. Dai Jianfeng then went down to talk to those people for a while, but lost his temper for no reason, and directly ordered to kill all the more than 30 survivors. He also told the story. He had concealed it before because Dai Guo felt that Dai Jianfeng was from his hometown. They had grown up together since childhood, so they felt soft-hearted and did not speak out. But now, people actually become deserters. This is simply a shame for soldiers. Dai Guo will naturally not hide anything anymore, because Dai Jianfeng is from the 5th Army, and the soldiers he took away are also from the 5th Army. This makes Dai Guo was very embarrassed, but fortunately he was leaving here soon to join the Hope base. Otherwise, if Dai Guo continued to stay here, in his words, I would have to put my head in my crotch when walking, and I would not be able to see anyone. After listening to Dai Guo and Wang Feng's stories, Wang Tao finally understood what happened and couldn't help but sigh. I knew this boy would have problems for a long time, but I didn't expect him to come. After looking at the military camp again, Wang Tao shook his head and returned to the hurricane with some enthusiasm. He drove back to the military headquarters. Then he took the intercom of the sentry at the gate and asked the sentry at the gate. He heard that it was all ready. He left, and also leaving was the newly joined staff officer Fang Fang. Wang Tao couldn't help frowning and said softly, "How come this guy Fang Fang was also persuaded by him?" When Wang Feng heard equation, he couldn't help but be startled, and then asked, "Equation? Is he here too?" "Do you know each other?" Wang Tao was also stunned. "Fang Fang came here just 2 days ago. I saw that he was also a soldier, so I took him in and made him a staff officer in the 6th Army. Unexpectedly, he was let this Dai Ji Unfeng was kidnapped." "Commander Wang. This equation was not abducted by Dai Ji Unfeng, but scared away by me," Wang Feng sneered. "He knows that if I find him, I will definitely kill him." "Ah! What is the origin of this equation?" Wang Tao was startled and asked. "He used to be the leader of the Zhongtian fire base in Haki City," Wang Feng said. Then, Wang Feng told the grievances between himself and Fang Fang. After listening, Wang Tao shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Oh! Fortunately you are here, otherwise, I don't even know there's a wolf hiding around me." Afterwards, the atmosphere in the field fell into silence. Wang Tao was naturally because of Dai Ji Unfeng and the equation, while Wang Feng was mainly thinking about the equation. Although they had not been away for a long time and there were many people, if Wang Feng went after him now, if so, he might be able to catch up, but Wang Feng thought about it and decided not to chase him. Because there were those 1,000 soldiers who followed them, if they chased him now, there would definitely be a conflict. Wang Feng just wanted to kill Fang Feng and Dai Ji Unfeng. Wang Feng was a little reluctant to kill those soldiers, but he wanted to kill Fang Feng. With Dai Ji Unfeng, those soldiers would definitely not stand idly by, that is to say, he would also kill those soldiers together. Although he is a second-level evolver, he is a human after all, not a mutant beast or a zombie. His body's defense is incomparable to that of zombies and mutant beasts. Thermal weapons can still pose a threat to him, especially those soldiers. As a professional soldier, his marksmanship is definitely not bad. So when the time comes, Wang Feng will not be able to hold back, and will definitely go on a killing spree, but those soldiers were just deceived, and there was no big mistake in themselves. At least when they were in Haki City, those soldiers were just executing orders. Although it can be said that they have become deserters now, Wang Feng also knows that Dai Ji Unfeng and Fang Fang must have said something to them, and they bluffed and deceived these soldiers into their pirate ship. Wang Feng had witnessed Fang Fang's eloquence with his own eyes. I think he was stunned at first, not to mention those tough men in the military camp who like to go straight and have no scheming. Wang Feng had already told himself that in the future, as long as he was sure if he is an enemy, he must kill him, but now when things come to a head, he finds that he can't do it. Looking at Lu Feng beside him, Wang Feng saw the strange look in Lu Feng's eyes. Wang Feng understood what Lu Feng meant and couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly. It seemed that he still had a lot to learn from Lu Feng. Last time he let the equation go, and he almost died. This time he let the equation go again. Although it was not absolute, if he chased after the equation, he would definitely have a chance to kill the equation, but he didn't. This move would give Wang Feng didn't know what kind of consequences he would bring. He only knew that facing 1,000 soldiers, he couldn't bring himself to carry out the massacre. After a while, Huang Hua came to the front of the military headquarters, saluted Wang Feng and said, "Report to the commander. The Second Army has been assembled and ready to go at any time. Please give instructions." "Commander of the Second Army. Huang Hua. Old Huang. I said it. Just call me crazy. Also, our management is not purely military. There is no need to be so formal. Don't salute every time we meet. Wang Feng shook his head helplessly and saw Huang Hua. Wang Feng put aside the equation matter for the time being. Anyway, that was it, so he might as well not think about him and think about how to bring these people back to the Hope Base first. How are the arrangements for the survivors going? Wang Tao came over and asked. Report to the commander. The survivors will have to wait for a while. Vehicles are being prepared for them. Because there are a large number of people, arrangements need to be made, Huang Hua said. Okay. Go and assist, then lead your team to follow the survivors to the Hope Base, protect them along the way. Remember, don't let them be in danger, we have owed them a lot these days. Wang Tao sighed, feeling a little guilty. Yes. Commander. Huang Hua stood at attention, saluted, and then left. Commander Wang. How many survivors do you have here? Wang Feng asked suddenly. He didn't know the number of survivors here yet. Although he saw some on the road, this military camp was huge, and he couldn't calculate an approximate number. Come. There should be more than 200,000 people. The original total should be more than 300,000 people, but because of the lack of food here, I have to ensure the combat effectiveness of the soldiers, and there is no medicine. Alas, Wang Tao sighed. Commander Wang, don't blame yourself, Wang Feng comforted, this is the end of the world, food is indeed extremely scarce, and it's not your fault. Don't you have such worries, Wang Tao smiled bitterly, it seems that I am really old. I can't protect such a small number of people. Commander Wang, you can't say that. There is a big difference between your place and ours. It has to do with the terrain. Our conditions are good. As long as we block the Heilong Bridge, we can rest easy. You are surrounded by enemies on all sides. Of course there will be no. Our place is developing rapidly, Wang Feng said. Well. That's why the wild wolf instructor asked me to give you those survivors. In fact, we took advantage of the survivors. That's why the wild wolf instructor asked me to give you 2 more soldiers. Soldiers, this should be considered compensation, Wang Tao said, those survivors are a burden to us, and we cannot give up on them. Moreover, these guys are very dishonest here and have already given me a headache. Now, I finally dump them all to you, haha. From now on, I will be free of worries, but I want to remind you that among these survivors, there are a few restless guys who organized a people's freedom. The parliament is supposed to protect the rights of civilians, so be careful when you take it back. Hearing Wang Tao's reminder, Wang Feng and Gui Wuivong subconsciously looked at Lu Feng. Lu Feng looked at the two of them from left to right and spread his hands. Why are you looking at me? Taizu said it. I usually don't kill people. Ha 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 ha, Wang Feng and Gui Wuivong laughed at the same time. Then Wang Feng said, I don't care about that. Anyway, I will leave these people to you when I get back. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 289. Seeing Wang Feng and Gui Wuivong's performance, Wang Tao couldn't help but look at Lu Feng, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. He didn't know who Lu Feng was. Wang Feng and the others threw him to him as soon as they heard that the survivors were in trouble. Commander Wang, Wang Feng looked at Wang Tao, but was interrupted by Wang Tao. Don't call me Commander Wang, it looks like you are just making up the word count. Oh. That's right, Wang Feng thought about it and said, then I'll call you Commander Wang. Yeah, Wang Tao nodded, that sounds much better. Commander Wang, Wang Feng said, do you know what Apostle Peter will ask me to do? Regarding what Apostle Peter said before, Wang Feng still wanted to find out first. I don't know. Instructor Wild Wolf has never liked to talk much, so, I don't know what he thinks in his heart. Anyway, I will do what the instructor says. Wang Tao shook his head. Afterwards, several people chatted casually for a while, mainly Wang Tao asked and Wang Feng answered, basically some things about the Hope Base, which made Wang Tao envious. Report, Huang Hua and another army commander ran over, all preparations before the transfer are completed, and we can set off at any time. Wang Feng and Wang Tao looked at each other, and Wang Feng stretched out his hand first. Commander Wang, I will send them back first, and then I will return by myself. See you tomorrow. Okay. See you tomorrow. Wang Tao stretched out his hand and held Wang Feng's hand, nodded, and his eyes were full of appreciation. Through the understanding of the Hope Base just now, Wang Tao admired Wang Feng very much, and envied his ability even more, because Wang Feng talked about the point system of the Hope Base, and there was no way to hide the strengthening potion. Besides, with Apostle Peter, there was nothing to worry about. At least Instructor Li Yingning trusted this Apostle Peter very much, otherwise he would not let Wang Feng listen to his orders. Oh, right. Commander Wang. Please send me another 200 soldiers. When I come back, let them bring back some supplies. Wang Feng suddenly said something that Wang Tao didn't expect. No need. Instructor Wild Wolf said he would take us to do something, and didn't ask you to send resources or weapons. I think it's not necessary, but thank you for your kindness. Wang Tao hesitated for a moment, shook his head and refused. Okay. We'll leave first. Goodbye. Commander Wang, after Wang Feng saluted Wang Tao, he turned around and jumped onto the roof of the Hurricane. Wang Tao watched Hurricane go away, feeling a lot of emotion in his heart. Maybe he is really old. In this Doomsday, what he has done is not as good as this young boy. After leaving the military camp, Wang Feng's Hurricane led the way in front. Dai Guo was driving. This old guy had been back and forth once and was very familiar with the road. Wang Feng was in the front, Lu Feng and Gui Weivong were in the back. There were more than a dozen cars in front and more than a dozen cars in the back. In the middle were the survivors. Because the base was short of fuel, these survivors could only walk. Only some weak children could squeeze in the car. Looking back at these teams, Wang Feng sighed. This journey might take 2 days. These 2 days might not be easy. Fortunately, although Wang Tao said that he hoped the base would have more food and he didn't need to bring rations for these people, he still distributed some food to each person when he set off. At least they didn't have to worry about food for the next 2 days. Although Wang Tao told Wang Feng and his team that there were some very restless guys among the survivors when they were traveling, and asked them to be careful, perhaps because they were exhausted from traveling all day, no one complained even when they were resting at night. Only on the second day, a few guys who wanted to make trouble appeared, complained that they were too tired, and asked to take a car. They were directly thrown out of the team by Lu Feng and left to fend for themselves. 2 people shamelessly wanted to come back and righteously communicate with Lu Feng, but they were directly broken by Lu Feng and thrown on the side of the road. Since then, the whole team seemed very disciplined. It seemed that they also saw that these guys were different from the previous sons and daughters and could not be bullied casually, so they kept silent and prepared to act according to the situation after arriving at the place. The team's speed was slower than Wang Feng expected. It was not until the 3rd day that they arrived at the Black Dragon Bridge. At this time, the defense system of the Black Dragon Bridge had been basically completed, except for the installation of some defensive weapons. In addition, 2 large platforms were built on both sides of the Black Dragon Bridge, each with 8 artillery pieces, with the muzzles facing the opposite bank. Behind the defensive fortress, there were 10 tanks, 5 on each side, lined up in a row. It seemed that Duan Lei really spared no expense for the Black Dragon Bridge. However, the advantage of this was that after arriving at the Black Dragon Bridge, the survivors who were already somewhat hungry and tired, did not know where they got the strength, and became active again. When they walked across the Black Dragon Bridge, but saw the crops on both sides of the road, these hungry survivors could not help but run in to get some corn to eat. However, after the leaders were killed, the others finally understood the current situation and began to hurry on their way honestly. Wang Feng had already asked Duan Lei to arrange these people. Duan Lei directly asked Wang Feng to take them to Ganlin County first and make do with the factory buildings where the survivors of Haki City had lived before. Because they had the experience of accommodating the 600,000 survivors before, the people sent by Duan Lei this time easily took over the more than 200,000 survivors brought back by Wang Feng. After handing over the survivors to the people sent by Duan Lei, Wang Feng brought Huang Hua, Daiguo, and nearly 5,000 soldiers to the Bishui community. With the expansion of the Guardian Corps and the Hope Corps, and the improvement of the Hope Base, a military camp has been built next to the Bishui community, and all the soldiers of the Hope Corps live in it. Because the Guardian Corps has a small number of people, only a few thousand people, the outermost circle of residential buildings in the Bishui community is their barracks. It can be used as a defensive force, which is just killing two birds with one stone. Now, as the soldiers of the Guardian Corps are becoming more and more powerful, Duan Lei is considering designing the rooftops of each residential building and turning them into camps for the Guardian soldiers. When an accident occurs, they can directly rappel from the rooftop and provide quick support. After arriving at the club, Huang Hua was introduced to Duan Lei and Tang Haoshan. Then, Wang Feng prepared to leave alone because he had to go back to complete what he promised to Apostle Peter. However, before that, Wang Feng needed to say hello to the instructor Li Yingning, ask Li Yingning, and finally confirm Li Yingning's attitude. However, when Duan Lei knew that Wang Feng was going to find Li Yingning, he quickly called him, because Li Yingning was not here now, and no one knew where he took the new soldiers to train. However, according to the previous rules, Li Yingning would not come back in a short time. Knowing that Li Yingning was not there, Wang Feng thought about it and simply left the Bishui community directly, ready to set off for Wang Tao's camp. Of course, he still drove the Hurricane, and asked Duan Lei for some vegetables and corn, which he put in the car to bring to Wang Tao and the others. As for Wang Feng's own apocalypse space, Wang Feng also carefully sorted it out. Because he didn't know what Apostle Peter would ask him to do, Wang Feng was very well prepared. The things he brought took up almost 1/3 of the entire space. For the rest of the space, Wang Feng was prepared to leave some space for himself if he had any gains. Otherwise, it would be absolutely painful for Wang Feng to watch the good things go. After driving the Hurricane out of the Bishui community and coming to the Black Dragon Bridge to get tired of Lu wanting in the car for a while, Wang Feng drove the Hurricane again alone towards Wang Tao's base. Although it was almost dusk now, it seemed that Wang Feng had not been concerned about this after becoming an evolver, especially since he was alone now and was still driving the Hurricane. When Wang Feng arrived, it was still dark. After thinking about it, Wang Feng simply stopped the Hurricane about 5 kilometers away from the base, and then sat there in a daze. Since he got the revelation, Wang Feng felt that he had been living an unreal life. He originally thought that he was dead, but in a twist of fate, not only did he not die, but now he has built such a large base. Including the newly joined survivors, the entire Hope Base has a population of more than 1 million. For the end of the world, such a population base is definitely huge. Even if there are no other survivors in the future, as long as the safety of these survivors can be guaranteed, human civilization may continue. The sky gradually became brighter while Wang Feng was thinking about it. When the sun's rays shone on the earth, Wang Feng launched the Hurricane and drove towards Wang Tao's camp. Perhaps he knew the Hurricane, or Wang Tao had greeted him before. Wang Feng was not intercepted at the gate of the military camp. As soon as his car approached, the gate opened. Wang Feng was not polite and drove the Hurricane directly to the military headquarters. Wang Tao, who had received the news, was already at the door to greet him. After following Wang Tao to another room on the top floor, Wang Feng met Apostle Peter again. "You came back very quickly." Apostle Peter was still wearing a mask. He nodded and motioned Wang Feng to sit down. Then he looked at Wang Tao. Wang Tao retreated tactfully, closed the door and stood at the door, acting as a guard as a commander. What I want you to do is to go here and get something here. Of course, this thing is of no use to me. On the contrary, it is of great benefit to you. Of course, this place is also quite dangerous, but I don't think you will die, and it has nothing to do with me if you die. Apostle Peter spread a map on the table and pointed to a place with his finger. Wang Feng smiled bitterly and went forward to look at the place, but found that the map was very familiar. When he confirmed the location, he couldn't help but said in surprise, "Why is it here?" Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 290. Wang Feng looked at the place pointed by the Apostle Peter's finger. After repeated confirmation, he was finally sure that this was the Black Dragon River and it was close to the Black Dragon Bridge. "May I ask if this place is in a channel in the river?" Wang Feng asked carefully. "Huh? Have you seen that passage?" Apostle Peter was a little surprised. "That's right. I've seen it before. I killed a turtle here and then discovered the cave below. However, someone told me that it was very dangerous here and asked me not to go here for the time being." Wang Feng tell the truth. Danger? Is there anything in this world that is not dangerous? If you are afraid of danger, just commit suicide. There will never be any danger in the future, the Apostle Peter said. In short, there is something here, you go and get it, that's it. Moreover, there is no need to go deep, just about 200 kilometers into the cave. After hearing the words of the Apostle Peter, Wang Feng felt that his teeth were itching, and he wanted to pounce on him and bite him. What does it mean that he doesn't need to go deep? Why the hell is 200 kilometers even close? That's underwater, not on land. But when you get that thing, turn back immediately and don't go forward. If you go forward, you probably won't be able to come back, the Apostle Peter said, because there was a mask covering his face. I can't tell what his expression is. Also, that thing is for your own use. You don't need to bring it to me. Anyway, I told you the address. It's up to you whether you want to take the risk or not. Besides, I remember I said I asked you to come alone. Wang Feng was stunned. I came alone. There are 3 more. Those who came with you, remember, when you want to go to this location, you must not let them follow you. Don't even let them know. If you can't do it, then don't enter there. Peter shook his head and said. Only then did Wang Feng remember that there were indeed 3 people following him, namely Shami San Xiao. Because the San Xiaomi had strange powers and they were really suitable for assassination, so during this period of time, Shami San Xiao Xiadu followed Wang Feng secretly and did not appear directly in front of others. Wang Feng didn't know why the Apostle Peter discovered their existence. Okay. I have said everything that needs to be said. As for what you decide, that is your business. Anyway, it is you who will benefit if you succeed. If you fail, you will die. It has nothing to do with me. I will let you, that's what you have to do, you can leave. After the Apostle Peter finished speaking, he waved his hand, indicating that Wang Feng could leave. Wang Feng was stunned for a moment, but he still saluted a military salute and then turned around and walked out. Wang Tao at the door saw Wang Feng coming out and walked downstairs with him. Go. Okay, Commander Wang, I'll leave first. I heard from Apostle Peter that you seem to be leaving soon. I wish you good luck and hope we can meet again. If you encounter trouble and need personnel or weapon support, even if you send someone to Hope Base, I will try my best to help. When he came to the door, Wang Feng turned around and saluted, and said to Wang Tao. Wang Tao returned the military salute and nodded, I will do it if necessary. Please take care and see you again when I have the opportunity. Wang Feng got on the Hurricane, and then drove the Hurricane out of the military camp and drove towards the Black Dragon Bridge. Because he didn't delay for long at the Apostle Peter, it was still morning. Wang Feng was driving all the way, his brows furrowed, thinking in his mind whether he should go to that passage now to get the mysterious thing that the Apostle Peter said. When he got the map from the old man, Wang Feng saw that the passage was also marked on the old man's map, and it was considered a relatively dangerous place. Wang Feng once asked the old man, and the old man gave him the answer that you cannot enter that passage until you reach the standard of a 5th level creature. Now Wang Feng has only reached the standard of a 3rd level creature. Maybe with Tiankai, if he explodes with all his strength, he may reach the standard of a 4th level creature. But Tiankai made it very clear before that the gap between level 4 creatures and level 5 creatures is not as simple as level 3 and level 4. Level 5 creatures are existences that can already control the origin of life, whether it is physical strength or their own recovery. The speed is not comparable to that of 4th level creatures. The turtle back then was an obvious example. The turtle's strength was already limited, but Wang Feng still struggled to kill it. If it hadn't been for the big hole on its back, Wang Feng would have been helpless against the turtle at that time. Now, Wang Feng doesn't know where that passage leads to, but he knows that there must be creatures of level 5 or above in that passage. Wang Feng can basically be sure of this, whether he felt it before Tiankai. The powerful breath of life and the old man's warning all indicated the danger of this cave, but the Apostle Peter asked him to enter the passage now, and said that there should be no problem. Wang Feng was very confused now. He believed in the old man, but although he was not familiar with the Apostle Peter, the instructor Li Yingning asked him to just follow the orders of the Apostle Peter. Of course, Wang Feng trusted Li Yingning. Therefore, based on this calculation, it seems that the Apostle Peter can be trusted. And Wang Feng had another question in his mind: why couldn't he let the 3 little ones know when he entered the passage? And the Apostle Peter meant that if he couldn't hide it from the 3 little guys, then he shouldn't enter the passage. What could these 3 little guys hide? Wang Feng felt that these 3 little guys were completely trustworthy. Since they were rescued in the Black Wolf camp, they grew up very fast. Although this was related to his own potion, these 3 little guys were indeed not like children of their age. They were calm and silent. Children of their age should have been active and curious. They would chatter and ask questions about everything they encountered, but these 3 little guys were always silent. There was even only one Wang Mi who acted as their spokesperson. Wang Sha and Wang Mi didn't even speak at all. Wang Feng has made up his mind now. Either he won't go, or he will hide it from the 3 little ones. It's not entirely because of the warning of the Apostle Peter, but Wang Feng feels that there may be danger below, and the 3 little ones' specialty is hiding. If they are in the water, this specialty should be useless because the movement of the water will directly expose them. And the passage is not wide. If they take the 3 of them, they can only follow behind him and can't help much. If they encounter danger, they may also be trapped, so it's better not to let them know. But this is also difficult for Wang Feng. He must come up with a reason to get rid of them. Otherwise, these 3 little guys are lurking around him. Even now, although Wang Feng can't see these 3 people and he is still driving a hurricane, Wang Feng believes that the 3 little guys must still follow him. At least, the 3 of them were in that military camp just now, otherwise, the Apostle Peter would not have said that there were 3 people following him. In the afternoon, Wang Feng finally returned to the Black Dragon Bridge. At this time, he had decided that he must go to the passage below, but not now, because the previous large-scale evolution caused Wang Feng's apocalypse to be seriously insufficient in apocalypse points, and he must replenish some. The passage below must be very dangerous, so Wang Feng may need the help of apocalypse, and apocalypse needs a lot of apocalypse points, whether it is to help him restore his physical strength or repair his wounds. As for where these apocalypse points come from, it's simple: Juking City. Now all those who used the evolution potion before have completed the evolution, whether it is Ximen Lianying, Luo Keiying and others, or those guardian warriors, they have completed the evolution process and become evolvers. It's just right to use the zombies in Juking City to train soldiers, especially to let those guardian warriors adapt. Last time when dealing with Dai Jianfeng and his men in Haki City, Wang Feng had already seen that the cooperation between the guardian warriors was not as tacit as before. This is because their strength has been greatly improved. They are not used to their own speed and strength, nor to the speed and strength of their comrades, so there is only some confusion in their cooperation. Now there are still 2 months before the second upheaval. First, take these guardian warriors to kill all the zombies entrenched in Juking City, and then improve the strength of the remaining guardian warriors. Because of the apocalypse points, the 1000 guardian warriors left to guard the Black Dragon Bridge are still enhancers. When she came to the Black Dragon Bridge, she saw Wang Feng return so quickly. Lu Wanting couldn't help but feel happy. When Wang Feng set out, because he didn't know what Apostle Peter would let him do, he told Lu Wanting that it might take a long time to come back. As a result, it took less than a day for Wang Feng to appear in front of her again. After crossing the bridge, Wang Feng stopped the hurricane. Lu Wanting rushed into the hurricane without waiting for the door to be fully opened. She hugged Wang Feng with both hands and offered her sweet lips. Of course, Wang Feng would not refuse such a good thing that came to his door. Moreover, no matter what, he was not going to go out today. After returning, he asked all the evolvers in the combat unit to prepare and set off early tomorrow morning to clear Juking City. The door of the hurricane was only opened for a moment, and it was closed again after Lu Wanting entered. Moreover, it did not come out for a long time. However, since the hurricane was an armored vehicle, it was very heavy. Therefore, Zhang Xiu, who stretched her neck to watch the show, waited for a long time but did not see the body of the car shake. Zhang Xiu, who was originally looking forward to the next show, was quite dissatisfied. She pouted and muttered a few words, boring. The car didn't even shake a few times.